Good, beautiful morning, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. My name is William Michael Forbes. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach. And we are live on this Monday, as we always are, Mondays, Wednesdays, Friday, and Saturdays. Well, interesting subject today. And I was quite surprised when Archangel Raphael came to me to talk to me about this conception. And it's really important. I'm going to quote the way he actually wrote it. He says, when can children learn telepathy? And this is where he shares his insight on that point, when parents and children can learn telepathy together, how to have a really intimate bond. One of the most important things he stated is that with regards to telepathy, it's a far more intimate and spontaneous way of communication between human individuals, not just parents and children, but all human individuals. The best time to begin a process of articulating both parent and child learning the function of telepathy is at the moment of the child's birth, where you focus habitually more on the spoken word and the sensations of the body. You keep the attention of both parent and child is often kept externalized only to the five physical senses. The internal senses of heightened perception, what we commonly call clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. These non-physical senses exist parallel to the five physical senses. Unfortunately, your physical environment loans itself to most of your attention. Most of your attention goes to the outside world, that is to sight, to sound, to touch, to taste, to smell. And you do this with your children from the moment they are born. Most of your attention goes towards what they see, what they hear, what they smell, what they touch, what they taste. The vast majority of your interaction with them is based in the five sensory personality. That is, you only work on developing the physical aspects of that individual's consciousness. Whereas functions like telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, these are non-physical principles of perception that each and every individual is born with and which you have with you throughout your life. Unfortunately, most of your educational and learning systems do not address these invisible senses that are not of the body, but are of the soul, of your awareness. When a child is born, the parents should begin the process of learning how to communicate to the child in thought, while learning to listen to the child's thought, to their awareness, to their need. The limits of the body to articulate information are obvious to a parent who understands that the child can make certain sounds, but they cannot understand the meaning of the sounds. Is because the parent is hearing only the physical aspect of the message. They're not seeing in consciousness what the idea is that's held in the mind of that individual. By idea, the information, the picture, the image that one holds in one's mind, coupled with the linguistic or invisible realm of the thought, constitutes the function of telepathy. So you have a thought in your mind. The child has a thought in the mind, and with that thought there is an image. In this case, the child will articulate not just from a physical standpoint that it is hungry, but it will communicate an image of being fed. There are examples through childhood where the parents, and there's a very short window from that period of birth to around age 3 or 4, where telepathy can be properly established in that relationship between parent and child. Telepathy can be established between the ages of birth and around age 3. It is the easiest place to begin that process. Many of you see when your children begin the process of walking or moving around, and the parent will see the child going towards an object that might not be good for them to interact with them, and the parent will say to the child, "Do not touch this." And the child will look and then touch it. And this is an example where the child is receiving an image from the parent's mind, not just words. The words that are being spoken say, "Do not touch this," but the image in the parent's mind is that of the child touching it. And so the confusing message is, we are sending you this image that you are to touch this, but we are speaking words that you do not understand. The function of language is not effectively understood by the child until between the ages of 4 and 7 years of age, where the function of language becomes usable by the child. That is, the child begins to understand the meaning of words and ideas as linguistic structures of sound. Whereas the function of telepathy remains there as the child's consciousness gets more accustomed to only the physical communication, that is, the speaking of words, sounds, gestures. The externalized senses become the primary modality of perceiving and understanding the world. Then the child naturally moves away from the development of these other senses of clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance. Most of the educational systems that you place your children through, again, focus on the externalized senses exclusively. And so the internalized mechanisms do not or rarely get developed at all. That is, the child becomes externally focused in terms of perception and comprehension, understanding. What they see, hear, touch, taste, smell now eventually takes precedence over the development of these spiritual faculties, these internal senses that run parallel to your physical senses. It is not a difficult or complex consideration to understand if you realize that thought, which is an invisible modality of communication until it comes through the nervous system and is articulated as words or gestures, but prior to it becoming words or gestures, it is an idea, an image, information, not yet made into flesh, that can be communicated directly to an individual. Again, the period of time at which it takes the average parent and child to learn the function of telepathy lasts between 3 and 5 years for it to become effective. In the conventional systems of learning, the vast majority of children primarily lose about 90 to 95% of their telepathic and intuitive capabilities because, again, the form of educations in which your children are often instructed are to deal with only the externalized senses, to have the child look outside of themselves to understand and interpret what reality is. Again, the function of the 5 physical senses are not meant to be developed exclusive of the others. Both the telepathic, the clairvoyant, the clairaudient, the clairsentient capabilities are meant to be developed in parallel, simultaneously, that you can understand. You can say to a child, this is an apple, and you can hold the image of the apple in your mind so that they can understand both the physical spoken word and the image or idea realm of information. You often experience such things as hunches and intuitions, and these things, again, are from the function of your senses that are not physical, where you simply get a knowing or a comprehension or an understanding. You just know something, or you simply understand, or you knew something was going to happen because the realm of the non-physical realms of communication exist alongside of the physical mechanisms and apparatus of communication. Going through your lives with only using one set of your senses is like going through your life with your hand tied behind your back. Learning that you can indeed at any age begin the process. You can begin the process. It takes approximately 3 to 5 years to effectively and properly lay the foundation where these senses are developed. Telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance require a period of time to be developed in the same fashion that you require a period of time to teach your body to articulate words, actions, gestures through the physical organism. Such skills as writing, reading, these skills you have to train your body to perform those functions, while so too do these other non-physical senses, your spiritual senses that is, need a period of time to also be developed. And the challenge that many of you face is you live in an existing system of learning where most of your education and instruction is externalized. You have to look outside of your mind, outside of your awareness, outside of ideas. So you're looking out there to gain the function of information, while the functions of learning of information on the inside go untouched or unnoticed, neglected and negated, and so they do not develop. For lack of a better term, they atrophy over a period of time. Now, functions of telepathy can loan themselves to practices of healing, as the body can be influenced equally by external influences. It can also be influenced by internal influences, ideas, images, thoughts, beliefs. These invisible realms of consideration can also equally influence the conditions of your body in the way that spoken words or medicines or surgeries can influence the body, but one being far more beneficial in terms of the overall and long-term health of the body. If you can establish that the body can be directed through consciousness, thought, image, and idea, then the function of healing takes on a whole new dimension. The vast majority of you are struggling, not because you are in error, but because you have only been using half of your senses to make sense of your world. You do not understand these other faculties. The vast majority of you may be hearing about them for the very first time. But at the moment that a child is born, that is the perceptual point at which the practice of telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance can begin to be developed. Holding images and ideas in your mind that the child can then begin to perceive from you, because a child at birth has a very broad perceptual range of apparatus, not limited only to the 5 physical senses, but it is also in the range of the invisible senses of thought, energy, emotion, idea that it can perceive directly. And so when your process of instruction includes holding an idea in your mind, the idea can be of equal influence to the child's learning abilities as can your spoken word about an idea. And again, the vast majority of you do not understand that the function of developing and articulating these senses takes approximately 3 to 5 years, almost identical to the period of time that it takes for the child to learn to read, to write, to begin the articulation of verbal communication, gestures, and such. But the vast majority are not aware of this because you, again, are in systems of learning that keep you externally centralized in your consciousness. That is, your attention stays outside of yourself and in the world. So your functions of learning and perception are determined by the external world and not by your internal sense of knowing. Again, the 5 physical senses only allow you to comprehend and apprehend the physical world directly, whereas these other senses, the telepathic senses, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, allow you to perceive the non-physical or spiritual realms of consciousness, the realms in where you can speak to your gods, where you can speak to your angels, where you can speak to your archangels, where you can communicate to those that you think are dead but are simply not in a physical medium of expression. Without the ability to utilize your non-physical senses, it makes it somewhat difficult to continue in your life in a whole and meaningful way, as only half of your perceptual apparatus is intact or developed. When I came to this one this morning, it was deemed very important that you understand why so many of you suffer and why there is so much attention given to your physical appearance, why there is so much of your systems of economics that loan themselves to keeping you looking and seeking for things outside of yourself. If you are looking outside and you only see and perceive the physical world, then you are denied the perceptual informational realm of the spiritual world, where you can talk directly to your creator, where you can communicate one-on-one with your ascended masters, where you can learn the function of gaining information from such great ones that you call such ones as your Einsteins and your Nikola Teslas and your Alexanders the Great. These individuals exist in spirit. They do not exist in form anymore, as their form has ceased to exist. So their consciousness then does not exist on a physical plane anymore. And so you rely on your books and your memories of these individuals, but you do not know how to contact them directly because, again, your whole sense of being is determined by the outside world rather than having these internal and perceptual apparatus available to you. At any point in your lifespan, these senses remain within you, in your physical being, in your consciousness, until the point of time where the physical body no longer ceases to function. At any point while you are alive, you can begin the process of rearticulating and redeveloping these internal senses of perception and understanding. You can begin to rebuild your framework of connectivity to the spiritual realm, where you can talk to your deities. You can talk and communicate with your loved ones telepathically. You can see, feel, and know the consciousness of other beings without them being apparent to your 5 physical senses. Now, many of you understand this is true. You speak of such things as ghosts and specters, and let us assure you these other realms of consciousness do exist. But again, the perceptual apparatus that you possess in your own awareness does not exist in the realm of devices of perception yet. Your science has not come far enough to develop spectrums of perception that would allow them to communicate onto the frequency of Jesus, or onto the frequency of Buddha, or onto the frequency of God, or onto the frequency of many other beings that still exist in creation, but differ in their frequency and your ability to perceive them. Your capacity to develop your internal senses of perception will facilitate the gradual and healthy development of these senses, that you may avail yourself of information, knowledge, and wisdom beyond the 5 sensory personality. That is to say, that you can learn to perceive, know, and understand beyond what you can see, hear, smell, touch, and taste. But that capacity must be consciously and deliberately developed. Otherwise, you will simply remain distracted by the outside world and just simply believing that you are just a physical body and bound only by the experiences of matter, time, and space, which is good for the purpose of being in a physical body, but does not loan itself much to giving you access to information and ideas that would perhaps loan themselves to solving a lot of your own personal and spiritual and global problems. Again, if you only avail yourself of one level of information while denying the other, again, it is like going through your life hopping around on one leg. You have 2 to walk with, but if you're only using one, then how can you hope to move around very well? Your species is very restricted and limited, primarily because it only deals with the external world. Very little attention, globally speaking, has been given to the fullness of your being. That is, all of you, not just your physical body as the sole locus of your identity. Your physical body is merely the instrument through which you articulate your consciousness, but it is not the source of who you are entirely. And so it is that simple. You may begin the process of telepathy, and it takes, as it does with the process of teaching your child to walk or to talk or to read a book or to understand a concept. There is a process of interaction between the 5 sensory self and the environment for a child to learn certain things. Just as there is with you, if you choose to learn a new task, there is a process you will go through in training your body into the function of the task. And it takes a period of time. So too, these internal senses of clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance will also go through a similar process where there will be a factor of time in developing these systems of perception. Again, your existing political, social, and educational systems do not loan themselves to facilitating you developing these non-physical senses, as with an awareness of this other realm of information, you could not be so easily manipulated or controlled by your political or socioeconomic machinations, which the vast majority of you are in a greater measure than most. Your capacity to gain information directly from the source of your life, from your ascended masters, from your great teachers and healers throughout history that have come and gone, your ability to tap into their knowledge and their wisdom is within you to do so. But again, your systems that exist now will not loan themselves to instructing you in that fashion. You must find systems of thought and understanding that allow you to begin to pursue the development and unfolding of these internal senses, which will open up access to other dimensions of knowledge and information. Everything that you can see in your human realm is a product of an invisible realm from which that idea first originated. Every human innovation and idea is a product of inspiration, idea that came into the perceptual apparatus of the individual on request, in which that individual took that idea and enacted it into a physical medium. Your systems of communication right now are good examples of that, where the understanding that you could communicate over greater distances precipitated ideas to give you encouragement that there are these other realms, radio frequencies, that could be utilized. Every one of your innovations in human civilizations are products of being able to gain access to realms of invisible information, not perceptible to the five physical senses, but easily perceptible to the awareness that is so developed that it can perceive that. That the idea of a telephone, the idea of an aircraft, or a machine that drives along on the road, all of these ideas were inspired. The information, the mechanics, the process, understood, downloaded into the minds of the individuals ready to receive them. And then that individual receiving that information began the process of creation, which then that form went from the invisible realm to the visible realm. And all of your innovations and creations go through that process. They come first from the invisible realm, from the realm of thought. They are received, considered, and then created. You must learn to pursue both worlds, not simply the physical world, which is but one facet of your being. You must also begin the process of pursuing your perception and understanding of the invisible realms of knowledge, wisdom, and information that are far more vast than you can even hope to understand in a single lifetime. But that in the lifetime in which you find yourself right now, you may learn to gain access to infinite realms of information and knowledge that could certainly facilitate you fabricating a very different process of creation and experience while living in your existing lifetime. This is all that I had to say to you today from this one. The function of healing, likewise, works with this process. You can have the idea or image of healing in your consciousness, and that idea and image of healing can induce the body into a function of change. But you're at a very unique time in your creative consciousness, both individually and collectively, that you may choose to wander through your life struggling with one arm tied behind your back, only believing that the physical dimension is that which you can perceive as real. Then you can only deal with that which you perceive as real. But the moment you begin to consider the possibility that other realms of information are available to you, each and every one of you, then you can begin to avail yourself of guidance, wisdom, knowledge, and information that far exceeds the sum total knowledge of all humanity as it exists right now in time, space, and matter. There is a flow of information that spans eternity and all of creation, which has no beginning and no end. Oh. Thank you, Raphael. I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. Yeah, that's a very fascinating subject, isn't it? Telepathy. When is the time to learn about telepathy? And if you got any questions or consideration about that, please leave a comment in it. Remember, if you're liking the material you're hearing, please like, share, and subscribe this information with others that might need to know this. You know, we've been so hoodwinked as a species to believe that your body is the only locus of your identity. And yet the very obvious thing is, in your body, you have thoughts that nobody else sees, but you know you have thoughts. Every one of you know you have thoughts, and nobody can see them. In telepathy, people can learn to see your thoughts. That's the other thing about telepathy that he told me. He said, if people understood that your thoughts can be heard and can be seen as equally as a spoken word, it would be very embarrassing for a lot of people for a while, because you'd then have to learn how to articulate and utilize your thoughts more properly, which was kind of surprising to me, that we can actually learn to hear each other's thoughts and ideas just by learning how to activate or develop the function of telepathy. Found that very exciting. Good morning, Amanda. Good to see you here. Hi. Do you believe we can communicate with people miles away? Absolutely. Absolutely. Everybody's done it. Everybody has done it. Think about it. You're thinking about a friend you haven't seen in years, and all of a sudden you walk into them on the street, or they suddenly call you. Or you're thinking about a friend at school and you bump right into them. Oh, I was just thinking about you. Yes, we communicate with people. Telepathy does not have the same constraints according to the laws of physics that your body does. In other words, I speak a word to you right now, and you're miles away. You're miles away right now. But this sound wave comes out of the body, goes into the technology, comes out that side as a sound wave. So the way things work from the physical dimension has its restrictions. But in telepathy, your awareness can connect or commune with anybody, anywhere, anytime, once you know that's actually true. But you have to develop that awareness. It's like you can't say to a child that's just been born, get up and run. You have to go through a process of experience and development of that body before it can run. So too do the vast majority of humans. Yeah, Raphael's saying it. About 98% of the people on the planet do not understand or know how to use telepathy. 98% do not understand how to use or even know about telepathy. It has to be developed consciously, deliberately, and it takes a period of time. So sitting down with your friend, yeah. So he's saying that sitting down with your friends with a deck of cards and trying to guess what the cards are is one way you can begin the process of training. But the process of training is a period of time. It takes the child, just in the physical body alone, up to 5 years just to begin to comprehend and understand language, let alone learning to walk and to think. So if you are patient enough, it might take you 3 to 5 years to develop your function of telepathy. But the vast majority of you don't want to put that time in. When you open up the sense of telepathy, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, he says once you open up those senses, then the hit and miss thing will stop. But it takes up to 3 to 5 years to develop. Now, he's saying it can be developed a lot faster with those who are very understanding and very highly focused on developing it. Just as if a child concentrates better than other childs, some children can learn to walk faster than others, some can learn to talk faster. Their focus and their attention to developing that function of walking or talking is more intense than other children. So too, he says, telepathy, he says, especially among adults, if adults are really focused on developing it, then the amount of time can go significantly down from 3 to 5 years to as little as 18 months. So just sitting there for a couple of days and trying to guess the card is it takes practice before you learn not only transmitting, but receiving. It takes time. He says it will loan itself to making a very humble humanity. What do you mean by that? He's saying that a humble humanity is what happens when if you knew that people could see your thoughts and hear your thoughts, you wouldn't have most of the thoughts you're thinking. If you had some of the ideas that you had and how they affect other people, you would not be thinking them. He says you become much more disciplined in the realm of thought because you realize thought, that's why he says that's why you don't speak a lot of your thoughts out, because many of them might not be accepted. But if people are telepathic, they will hear your thoughts. He says this is one of the reasons why a lot of political systems over history have prevented, in fact, discouraged, and even punished people for developing telepathy. Because then the people would then intuitively know all the time what people's motives are. If you were telepathic and you develop that one sense, then people would not be able to trick you or manipulate you because you'd be able to read their minds. Because thought is a realm of communication. It's a non-physical realm of communication. So yeah, I believe you can absolutely communicate over limitless distances. You can communicate to Buddha or Christ or Yogananda. You can communicate to Archangel Raphael. You can communicate to Archangel Michael. You can communicate to God. You can communicate to Ra. You can communicate to many beings. You can communicate to the Pleiadians if you understand the function of telepathy, and the one that's receiving the communication understands it, right? Has to be understood at both ends, because people are sending you messages all the time and you're just not hearing because you don't have that system developed. Hi. Like asking to hold up a sequence of numbers with my friends. Yeah. So you can practice that. the sequence of numbers. They've done experiments. A lot of governments have already know that telepathy exists. And they use it. A lot of governments use telepathy. They use astral projection, but they don't let the masses know that you can develop it. So yeah, if you take a sequence of cards and you sit with your friends and you practice every day, and then suddenly it'll start happening. You'll start connecting. But if it's not practiced, it's not going to be developed. But again, most people do it once or twice. Oh, it didn't work, and they stop. Right? And that level of impatience will not yield itself to your comprehension and understanding of what telepathy is. Not at all. No. My son and I are extremely close from before I was even pregnant. That's wonderful. It's good that you know that too. A lot of people don't. Good morning, William. Question. I am having a difficult time healing the seasonal, sea mold in my bone, in my feet. Any advice on manifesting this healing? I am having a hard time believing in myself in general. Then don't believe in yourself, but know. Now you take your hand up in the air and tell your hand to close, and then tell your hand to open. So there you are. If you're opening and closing your hand, you're telling the hand what to do. And all the nerves, glands, all the muscles, joints, ligaments, and tendons are following your direction. Because your direction, you've learned to do that. The body knows how to carry out that command. Now what you're asking is, how can I then direct the body to heal and correct this condition in the foot? You need to give it the idea that represents that outcome. My foot is beautiful, healthy, vibrant, and strong. My immune system is gaining great strength and momentum. You must communicate ideas to the body with such emotion and with such repetitiveness that the body takes it on. This movement of opening and closing the hand and articulating fingers was learned. The body had to learn. You look at a newborn baby, they can't do that. Their hands are just like... The process of the body learning, you must understand that the body learns in simple ways. Emotionalization, imagination, and visualization will induce the body into different functions. And the most powerful of those is emotionalization. So if you can get into the idea of how strong and healthy your foot is with such intensity that it's pure and perfect and vibrant and healthy, then the body will take on that suggestion. But again, a lot of people don't want to take the time to learn to do this. They'd rather take a pill or a drug or go to surgery. And there's nothing wrong with that. It can be a really necessary thing sometimes. But when you truly understand that the body is designed to carry out your ideas and suggestions, or the ideas and suggestions that other people give you, because you can be influenced by suggestions and ideas that other people give you. And governments and leaders know this very well, that they can manipulate, control, and take charge of the masses by giving them ideas that they want them to follow consistently, persistently, and emotionally enough, right? But yeah, you want to really get into that state of how grateful you are for such a very healthy and beautiful foot, right? I'm also being told to tell you that the emotion that you have in the foot, you need to let that go. You need to release that emotion from the foot, right? Yeah, somebody else is telling me here that you're having trouble going in the direction in your life that you want to. You've been having some resistance going in the direction you want to. I'll leave it with that. If you want to know more about that, book a reading with me, Casey. Yep. Much love to you too, doctor. Hi. Yeah, remember to like, subscribe, share. Please do this. Share this information with other people. Yes, let's see what we got down here. I have to start singing. I have to start singing songs in my head or focus on different things. Yeah, you can do that. Because the body reacts to rhythm and sound. It's naturally born into a realm of rhythm, night, day, hot, cold, up, down. So the function of rhythm can be really used well in the process of healing. So yeah, if you can sing songs that are about your health and your vitality, well-being, they'll induce change in your body really quickly too. But emotion is the key factor that will motivate the body beyond anything else. Emotion. Yep. Thank you. How do we understand and develop the system? Well, again, what he's saying is that you need to begin to practice with other people, not just with yourself. You need to practice with other people. Like the mother and child, the father and child, when the baby's born, the idea of telepathy should begin there. Not just what you say, but you should, when you say a word like mommy, daddy, you should hold the picture of your own face in your mind when you say that. You should hold the picture of the child in your mind of them speaking the words. Children can receive images very easily at a young age. As they get older, as if you keep them externally focused on what you say, what's out there, you keep them externally focused, then those internal perceptual faculties don't get developed. Again, it must be a conscious and deliberate effort. And keep in mind, there's a time factor involved. Between a parent and a child, that telepathic bond is already there, but it still has to be developed. Just as the development of the body and learning to touch and smell and speak and communicate physically takes a period of time to develop, so too do these other senses require a period of time to likewise be developed. And the system of understanding is recognizing that images and thoughts are equal as words and actions on the realm of that soul, right? Very interesting subject. Can you suggest material to read and study with? I would suggest you come into our master classes where I channel the Ascended Masters. And we do all kinds of learning and practices and opening up clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance. A lot of people come into the class and have developed these to various degrees. But again, keep in mind, you've gone through most of your life where you've been so externally focused that you have to literally retrain your mind and body into a new system. And our masterclass series will take you through that process. We've got our Masterclass 101 Awakening, which is the beginning of our 4-class cycle that starts March the 1st. I highly recommend that you'll register for that today. The class, generally speaking, has a limited number of spaces available, so you want to get registered sooner rather than later. It's a 3-week program where you'll learn to practice different and simple techniques for developing clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, which we call the 4 clairs. Remember, your 4 invisible senses are meant to develop in tandem with your 5 physical senses. But this system is the easiest system I've ever found to lay the foundation for that. And then it's a matter of continuing practicing with yourself and with other students, because we encourage you to practice with other students. You know, the few simple techniques that we map out of perception that begin to utilize and activate your internal perceptual apparatus. Again, they're practiced quite regularly and consistently throughout the program. In fact, they get practiced right up until Masterclass 103, which is all about creation. And Masterclass 104 is all about transcendence, where students have gotten so far along the path they wish to transcend the limits of the personality and begin to really utilize their spiritual senses as the mechanism for going forward in life. But yeah, sign up for Masterclass 101 Awakening. That'll begin the process for you. There are other things. You can sit down with your friends and practice, but it's a little different if you don't have a system of learning. We are conductive beings. Yes, we are. Hi, good morning. Hi. Glad to have you here. So the question we are addressing today is about telepathy. When should children learn telepathy? When should parents teach their children about telepathy? And it should be along lines of birth. When the moment the child's born, you can begin to communicate images to them. Yes. Hi, Susie. Happy Motivational Monday. Thank you. Love and blessings. Thank you so much. Very appreciate that. Thank you, Susie. Question from Animo. I found an injured mourning dove by my feeders yesterday. I treated her wounds and with colloidal silver. She survived the night and is eating. Any guidance on how to move forward? Just keep doing what you're doing. Hold the image, because animals will respond to images too. Animals can react to telepathic images and they can respond to them. So what you want to do is you want to hold the image in your mind of the bird flying. Just keep that in your mind, that the bird's wings are getting stronger and healthier. and keep using the colloidal silver, because that's a really wonderful substance for promoting healing in the body. Yeah, you're on the right track. You don't need anything from us. You're doing all the right stuff. Question from Wei: how can I keep encouraging people who are healthy and happy and lucky, but very evil at the same time? Is there something I'm supposed to get? Well, I tend to not deal with people that are struggling with the illusion of being evil. You really want to work with people that are wanting to end their suffering. Because we are at that time now where there's a large percentage of the human population that is suffering. So many people have become so externalized on how I look and am I right way, am I dressed properly, am I too fat? People have become so obsessed with the external world that their internal world is all negated and ignored. You really want to find people that are really sincerely looking to be happy. People that want to end their suffering, that want to really live and create. And there's a lot of those people out there. Just got to be open to them. I know we can be around our family members, and we can have family members that are unhappy and doing things that aren't good for them. And you want to help them. And if they're open and receptive to it, that's great. But if they're not, don't go beating your head against the wall, right? Don't try to force change where it's not welcome. It just doesn't make any sense to do that. Hi. William, sometimes I feel my future children around me, but I'm not sure if I'm right. How do we know? If you're feeling it, you'll come to understand it. I promise you. If I tune into your energy, you're correct. They are around you. But you also have to be open to receiving it. You can know what's going to happen in your life, but you have to also be open to receiving it in this world. A lot of people keep their dreams in their head. They hope and they dream and they fantasize about something, but they don't bring it into form. In other words, they don't start living it in the body. They think about being a famous writer or a speaker, a teacher, a healer, whatever it is they dream about, but they don't do the things they need to do to bring it as a function into this dimension. So they keep it in the astral realms, which is what a lot of people do. Tanya's saying, William, my tabby cat, 18 years old, will she just leave the body? I really would not like to use the needle. She's not suffering at the moment, but I feel it's close. Your cat loves you very much. We have a dear friend who has her cat's almost 20 years old. She loves him dearly. And he's vibrant and healthy, a little slower than usual. But animals have a tendency of leaving when it's just like humans. Animals have a tendency of leaving when it's the right time. And if your animal is not suffering, then don't rush the process, but delight in the relationship. Don't rush the process, but delight in the relationship. If your animal is obviously suffering, then you certainly want to alleviate that suffering. But if it's not suffering, enjoy the relationship, cherish it, because you already know, and the cat owner, you have an agreement. That animal's with you because you two have an agreement for this relationship. 18 years, what a wonderful time to spend with somebody, eh? That you can spend 18 years with another being in love and grace and gratitude, and that you've both chosen that journey. That's a beautiful thing. Congratulations, Tanya, to have a relationship that spans that period of time. What a blessing. Truly a blessing. Our cat isn't liking the new cat that's hanging around. Well, again, you've got to broker a peace. You can't force them to, but you have to see them in your mind's eye. Remember, animals will react to telepathy just like humans will. So hold it in your mind's eye that your cats are snuggling together. Transmit that to both cats, that they're rubbing together, they're being close, they're being friendly. You have to transmit what you want to them so they know. They need to receive an idea from you to carry out a new idea, because otherwise they'll just operate instinctually. And cats and dogs and other animals can be very territorial until they're given another directive. So you want to give your cats that information really, really clearly and decisively, right? You want to do that. Yeah, I know we all wish that we could force the physical laws to change, and we can to a small degree. I mean, look at most people don't have their cats for 18 years. Most people don't have their dogs for 18 years. So the relationship with your cat is very unique. It's wonderful. I'm thinking about a partnership and investment with a company around nutrition. Should I go for it? I'm getting that the idea is sound, but there are some issues that are in the details that you need to be very mindful of before you cement the process. Be very conscious of the details, that they are fully in alignment with your vision. The details, the joint process, that all the details are in harmony with your vision and with theirs. Right? It's got to be a two-way street. But there are some details that are not sorted out that need to be sorted out before that happens. Again, if I didn't get to your questions today, you may feel free to book a reading with me. Go to williammichaelforbes.com and you can choose your reading there. A reading is a very powerful and intense way to get information from your guides, your angels, and your higher self if you want that. Yes, I understand. Hello, Basia. My childhood friend and I reunited 3 years ago, and we've been really close lately. Is he the one for me, or should we just stay friends? Well, that's not a communication you should be having here, Basia. You need to have that communication with them directly. Share your feelings with them. You shouldn't be coming here to have that question answered. You need to communicate with them. In a telepathic realm, they would know that. You came together for a reason. You need to sit down with them and articulate, why do you think we're together? Is there a purpose for us being together? You need to have that conversation with them. You might be quite surprised at what they have to say. We've been so conditioned to fear that other people aren't going to like what we like. But you have to share the truth with people. The truth will set you free, right? But sit down with them. You need to have that conversation with them. If you hold on to this fear and uncertainty and you keep it to yourself, it's going to create problems in the relationship down the road. Be open, be honest, and hope that they will be open and honest with you. Let them know that. Yeah, be honest. Hi there. Well, it seems that we're not too busy today, guys. Remember to like, subscribe, and share this information. It's not going to cost you anything. It's going to help this channel. It will tell the algorithm that this information is valuable and beneficial. And if you have any comments about what you've heard today, please leave a comment in the comment section. On TikTok, you'll need to migrate over to my YouTube channel to make comments below this video if you want me to address a question or consideration from here. And again, remember, you've only got less than 6 weeks before Masterclass 101 Liberation Awakening begins. Go sign up today, WilliamMichaelForbes.com. It's Masterclass 101 Awakening, where you'll learn to gain access to developing clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, claircognizance, where you'll learn how to connect to your guides and angels, ascended masters, and loved ones. Just because a person is not in the body does not mean that they do not exist. They just don't have a physical form to communicate with you. And again, if you had telepathic skills, you'd understand very differently that death is an illusion of another kind. But I'm really grateful and honored and privileged to have had Raphael with us today to talk about telepathy and how it can be developed and when it should be developed. And I want to wish you all much, much love, much, much joy, and I'll see you guys on the Wednesday edition of Shortcuts for Your Soul. Have yourselves a wonderful and joyful day. And again, if you got a question, you can use the Linktree link in my bio or on my TikTok channel, and you can ask a question there as well. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.